Do you ever feel the urge to commit violence against your friends, families, and neighbors? How about convincing others through trickery and deceit to commit the violence? Me? Nah, I don't have feelings. Could you imagine someone like me going through life trying to have feelings? In today's humble opinion, we're wading through hearsay in town of Salem. Town of Salem is a multiplayer mystery role-playing game developed and published by Blank Media Games, and despite its humble and friendly appearance, it sets out to explore some of the darkest phenomena in social psychology. As the name might suggest, it's a game of paranoia, hysteria, and of course, witch hunts. You start out the game in a lobby while you wait for 14 other people to join. Then you choose what name you want your villager to be so you can be anonymous in that game. Afterwards, a wheel is spun in order to determine what your role in the game is going to be, and then this is where things get interesting. There are 30 different roles that you can end up with, but they're divided into 3 main categories: townspeople, mafia, and neutral. The neutral roles mostly have their own ends to achieve, like the jester's desire to die as soon as possible or the serial killer's urge to kill everyone. The other 2, however, are facing off to rid the town of the other. In the case of the mafia, it's to use trickery and subversion to convince the townspeople to lynch their own, or murder to eliminate them. For the townspeople, it's to discover who the mafia is and rid your town of their presence. Of course, with so many roles, it's hard to determine who's using what abilities to cause which results. So, did that escort die when visiting a townsperson because that person was the serial killer, or because the escort happened to be targeted that night, for instance? The game, much like my adolescence, takes place over the course of several phases. During the day, you speak with citizens of Salem over the events of the night prior and persuade them to lynch people that are presumably dubious. If enough people vote to lynch, that person has a few moments to plead their case, after which the town votes on their innocence. If the town finds them guilty, they hang. If not, they rejoin their group, and discussions can open up to 2 more times that day. After a long day of hanging friends, the citizens tuck themselves away in their houses for the evening. This is when special abilities are generally used. Investigative roles will watch over other people, mediums will speak to the dead, mafia will do shady mafia shit, and jesters will do absolutely nothing because that class fucking sucks. Then everybody wakes up to find out who died and start the process all over again until one faction is left standing. Now at this point you might be thinking that this game is a little complicated, but that's only because it fucking is, which can be a little bit of a turnoff for new players. I don't know what I'm doing will be the feeling that runs through your head more times than the pangs of disappointment run through mine every day. Especially when it comes to nuanced points of the game, like last wills or whispering, which aren't readily explained or apparent. Understanding your class, much less everyone else's, and all of the quirks that come with them can be a daunting task that is nevertheless necessary to play the game competently. Other areas of weakness include the nature of the game itself. Since it's multiplayer and since you can have friends in a group with you beforehand, it's entirely possible to cheese a situation by being in a Skype call and discussing secrets or plotting actions without the rest of your team. You might be privy to information that the rest of the players are not, or decisions swayed in your favor because you're part of the bigger group. Then there's the medium, whose effectiveness is entirely at the hands of people who died willfully sticking around to help them out instead of bailing to find a new game. Thankfully though, in my experience, these cases weren't too commonplace. And if, like me, you get a group of friends in a Skype call who still want to do things the right way, it can be a fucking blast. Normally you can find Town of Salem on Steam for the price of $4.99, but I would only recommend that if you've done your research on the game and gave it a shot for yourself in the browser version. It's free to play there, and you can play with people using the Steam version with few to no differences. If you were inclined to spend money at all, you could do it through their cosmetic item shops and pick up a new outfit, pet, or death animation, which is a little bit more worth it than just having a Steam client version. It's also worth mentioning that achievements earned in the free version will be saved to your account, so that when you use that account on Steam, if you buy that version, you'll have them there too. Anyway, the lowest it's ever been on Steam is $2.49, which is virtually free if having that platform is important to you. Gameplay for Town of Salem earns a 7 out of 10 because while its innovative mechanics reminiscent of party tabletop games can bring loads of fun for all parties involved, it is possible to manipulate them in ways that are unfair with relative ease. Combine that with poor sports and classes that can be rendered useless by having people leave the game, and it only gets worse from there. Still, having a game be so cleverly balanced around this degree of nuance and variety is fantastic, and generally speaking, games are pretty entertaining. I can't be quite as lenient on value, however, which earns a 2 out of 10. While the game itself is enchanting and can keep you occupied for a great deal of time, receiving it in the bundle is more than a little lackluster given that you can play it for free anytime you wish with very few differences, if any. Sure, they give you a little bit of their currency to go with it, but not enough to consider this a good deal. The bundle has given us a pretty good number of strong titles this month, but that doesn't make getting a free-to-play title feel any better. With an average of 4.5, the town of Salem earns a C-, but I have to reiterate that the game itself is perfectly fine and that it's only relative to the bundle as a whole that makes the points fall.